All right, today I wanted to go over a near miss incident that happened in a garden style apartment in Cobb County, Georgia. Um, this is from a training from FSRI, which is formerly UL. You guys feel free to go over that website. There are a lot of good trainings out there you guys can watch. This is one of them. I encourage you, if you want to, take the class in its entirety. That's great. I just want to kind of summarize uh, some of the stuff that took place. When I was doing this PowerPoint, there's a couple videos that are embedded. The audio was terrible. So in the Fire Rescue 1 training, I have two links. I really like for you to watch at least the first video first. And then at the end, when you're all done, you can watch the second video, which just talks about the how quick the temperature dropped when they put water from the exterior of the building onto that fire. So watch those two things, and then you can come back to this training when you're done. So the stuff we're going to talk about, quick look at Cobb County Fire Department, some of the events of the fire, contributing factors, strategy and tactics, a little bit of fire behavior, and then some lessons to be learned. Cobb County Fire Department comprised of 750 members, 66 pieces of apparatus, 29 firehouses, approximately 250,000 residents, and about 60,000 calls a year, and that is of 2019. So just all that just to say that they're a fairly busy fire department. This is the video that's embedded. Again, it's not very good. Watch the one that I put in the notes section in Fire Rescue 1. So if you watch that, we'll talk about some of the contributing factors that took place that FSRI came up with when they were conducting their review. First is size up, communication, and accountability. We didn't get to hear it in the radio traffic, but there was no size up done by the first due company. That is part of their standard operating procedure. It just was not done. We've conducted some size up training. We'll talk a couple reasons why it's important. First, and the obvious is it gives the next due companies a clear picture of what they're responding to. So if everybody understands what should be said and how you say it, then they'll understand when they're coming in of what is actually going on. Get a pretty good picture. And then obviously the battalion or second due chief will conduct his own size up. And again, that is to talk about changes that may have occurred in that time span. Some things we don't talk about very often about size up is it just gives the company officer time to kind of slow down. Right, they have a lot of stuff going on. Their mind may be racing. This time is for them to gather their thoughts and offer and get a clear picture of what's going on in their mind. And again, it just kind of offers that systematic way of allowing the brain to process what the eyes are seeing. So again, just kind of slow them down. Again, this should not be a 30-second or 60-second dissertation. 10, 15 seconds. This should be out smoothly, and then you guys will be on your way. Communication, you guys heard on that video about, again, them just not having a game plan prior to entry. The crews were split, and we'll talk about that a little bit of accountability. But again, he just didn't relay what was going on in his mind about what he wants to get done here. So again, that good communication. Again, this should not be a long drawn out conversation. It's, hey, we're doing this. Here's where we're going in. Here's what we're doing, and then go. Right. The time for those conversations, the time for the expectations is done on the training ground, right? Around the kitchen table. We should be talking about this stuff all the time. So the first time we do get a fire like this should not be the first time you either train on it or discussed it, did the tactics many, many times prior to doing it on the training, on the fire ground. So on the training ground is where expectations are met, right? It's where the officer says, hey, when I say this is what I mean. All that stuff is done then. And that's time for questions. It's time for what ifs and all those different kind of things. On the fire ground, that is not the time for it. When they talk about accountability, you heard it, I think at least a couple of times in that video where the company officer did not know who was with him in that fire department. Cobb County does that split. They talk about it. You know, again, can this happen to us? Has it ever happened to us? You know, have we ever split crews? We don't split crews a lot, but certainly one thing we do is combine crews. It's fine. It works better if it's two Westchester crews, but sometimes it's not. Right? We have a lot of mutual aid companies coming in. They could be first, second, third due, right? So they'll be incorporated into that plan. So company owners, just make sure you know who you are with. To talk about the use of the thermal imaging camera, we don't get to see real well, right, what the company officer actually gets to see, because we're just kind of seeing helmet cam footage of the tick every now and then. But there's one part, and I want you guys to go back and look at this when you're done. There's a part in the video where they backed out, and before they go in again, right, they open the door, and he's flowing into the room, into the living room kitchen area. And you can see the tick, you can see the hose stream. If you look real closely, you may have to go back and forth a couple of times. You can actually see heat convection currents coming from the left-hand side, right? So again, if we use the equipment that we have, again, we have some of the best technology, you know, money can buy right now. So if we use that, we slow down a minute, you know, interpret what we're seeing on that screen, that'll give us clues of where that fire is at, right? So it may eliminate some of that confusion. When we use the tick, we talk about this a lot. We're not scanning the room super fast. It's got to be slow, right? The images that are taken into that machine cannot be interpreted and sent out to the screen where we can see them quickly, right? It's not a movie camera. So take some time as you survey the area, especially company officers. Talk a little about the FLIR K65, 2 modes, high and low sensitivity. High sensitivity is in lower heat conditions, typically under 300-ish degrees. Typically you'll get the whites and the blacks and grays, those colorations. That's where you get the best picture, right? That's where we can see victims, hose line, firefighters in that low environment. Once we raise it up, it may switch to a low sensitivity. When it switches, so you start getting those colors, you start getting the oranges and the reds and all those kind of things. That's when the picture is not as sharp. Okay, so we search kind of in that low area first, and then we move up high. Remember, especially in the K65, when it switches from high to low sensitivity, it takes a couple seconds. So if you're moving the camera super fast and it's switching, you may not notice that. Okay, then you may miss a large portion of that room. So again, slow down, train with the equipment, understand how it works. Talk about some fire behavior. There's some good pictures of what the building looked like. Again, just a 2-story apartment building. We have a bunch of these in Westchester. Excuse me. And what that fire looked like at the beginning. So at the beginning, when they got off the rig, you saw a fire coming from that one window, okay? This is post flashover, and it's a vent-limited fire of bidirectional flow, meaning that the intake and exhaust is in one opening, okay? So that means that that fire is limited by the amount of oxygen it can take in. And that's what's controlling that size of that fire at that time. Notice specifically when those firemen make that entrance from that doorway in the common hallway, that it becomes a more unidirectional flow. Probably not solely unidirectional, but more unidirectional, where you've got that exhaust and then you got that intake. Okay, once they create that exhaust, right, that's where the fire is going to want to go. So you saw the grayish, brown turbulent smoke coming out of there, thick, right? That's high velocity, right? That's really hot, and all it needs is just seeking that right amount of oxygen to light off, right? It's got the fuel, it's got the heat, it's looking for that oxygen. Again, when you see those conditions, then the tactic is moving and flowing, okay? Again, we've been training on this extensively here in Westchester. And you saw it and you heard it in the video multiple times where the nozzle firefighter would open it up and then shut it down. Open it up and shut it down, right? So in that scenario that they found themselves in, bail open, okay? Cooling it, from almost over top of you all the way down that container, and then moving until you find that seat of that fire. We're trying to push that heat back into where it came from. So remember, default bail open. Another contributing factor was the delayed exterior attack. So again, you saw in that video what happened when the crews conducted the exterior attack. Things got better. So they said approximately 100 gallons of water literally dropped that compartment by 600 degrees. Okay, so our nozzles with a smooth bore, 50 psi at the nozzle tip, we're flowing. I hope you said we're thinking about 185. Again, I'm not a mathematician, but that's just over 30 seconds of water flow, and the fire is knocked down. Temperature is dropped. Again, that is better for us, for searching conditions, for finding that, again, doing complete extinguishment. That's better for the victims that are inside there, right? We're making that space more tenable for them. And again, it's better for that building that's being attacked by that fire. All three things that we're there to do, right? Don't get pigeonholed like, oh, I got to go through the front door and pass that fire up. When literally 30 seconds of water application from the exterior would knock a bulk of that fire down. Okay, this is the second video. Go ahead and watch that at the end of this. And again, it just kind of shows you a computer model of that exterior attack and how fast that cools those gases. This is the layout. Again, very similar to what we find in Westchester. That fire was in bedroom 1. Again, the living room was not very big, about 15 by 12. And again, it kind of goes into like a kitchen area. There's like a half wall right on the right where they entered, and that's kind of where that OIC lived for the bulk of this event. The search firefighter kind of searched some of this living room, and then he got into this kitchen also. The nozzle firefighter finally made his way down the hallway and actually into the bedroom of origin later in the game. Remember when I know we listened to dispatch, right? And we listened to these clues that helps us start painting that picture. They heard couch on fire, right? Couches are typically found in where? In the living room, not in bedrooms. So that's where they thought that probably that fire originated from. When they pulled up to the fire, when he was sizing it up, he noticed, right, that fire, the window of origin where that fire is coming out of, and where they entered was only like 20 feet, right? It wasn't a long push. Like he couldn't understand why they couldn't find that, right? So understand those things. When you're doing EMS runs, right? We talk about this all the time. Look at the layout of the building. Look at the layout of the apartments. Typically in an apartment building, there's not too many layouts of them, maybe 2 or 3 of them in the whole complex. So understand those things. Contributing factors, again, why did they get turned around? It was zero visibility, right? We live in a zero visibility environment, right? That's where we operate. We're in these vent limited fires all the time. Products of combustion have changed, right? It's nothing new. Matter of fact, it's been going on for 15, 20 years now, right? We've been hearing like this is new stuff. It's not new. It's been going on for decades. It's just what we do produces that black, nasty smoke. Again, they expected the fire to be in the living room because they mentioned the couch. Once they realized the fire was in that room, that's when things kind of started spiraling out of control. Words matter, right? OIC lost where his firefighters were in that apartment. Again, let's go back to that tick. What would you expect to see in that tick, right? Scanning low first, right? We look for door frames, look for vents, look for couches, for refrigerators. Get your orientation about yourself. When they started panicking, that's when things started again. They started spiraling out of control. The loss of the nozzle, right? All these different things contributed to where they found themselves in. So when let's say that you're that OIC and you're on that little half wall and you're facing out towards the alpha side of the building. So directly in front of you is going to be that sliding glass door. What would that look like in the tick? Okay. I hope you say reflection, right? It's going to be reflection, but you should be able to see the door frame around there. If you scan to his right, that'd have been the point of egress. Still see that door frame, but it's going to take a second, right? You just can't fling the tick back and forth. Take your time. Look what you're reading. if you scan the floor to find that hose line, right? What's the hose line should look like compared to the rest, especially in an environment that warm, right? The hose line should be black, right? So you should be able to see that stuff. See where your firemen are using that thermal imaging camera. Remember, firefighters, you guys have one too. Every guy riding backwards should have a thermal imaging camera on their SCBA. While en route to the fire, turn those things on. It's gonna be a lot more difficult to do once you're inside that environment. The last contributing factor is the Mayday, right? We train on when to call the Mayday. It's easy to say in the Mayday, oh, we do it right away, right? As soon as I even thought about I was disoriented, I'd call a Mayday. Well, this guy's got some time on the job, right? He's been to fires. But I like the video portion because it kind of showed that the human side of it and what he went through, right? He didn't want to accept the fact that he was in trouble, right? I can't stress that enough. As soon as you think that you're in trouble, call the Mayday. Don't hesitate. This is not a time to be embarrassed or ashamed or to contemplate what's going on, right? Call for help. Once you call for help, right, there's a reflex time, right? Goes to command. Command sends it to RIT, right? Hopefully RIT is ready to go, right? At that front door, wherever those hose lines are going in. Get masked up and go. At the end of the video, the guy that was on the RIT team, the guy that was on deck, I think it was engine 5, he said it pretty plainly, right? Be ready to go. Take that job seriously. Again, we do a lot better job than we've done in a long time here in Westchester. Our RIT teams are ready to go. Gears on. Equipment's ready, right? All they got to do is mask up and go. Stay vigilant. Those seconds count. So to wrap this up, talk about lessons to be learned. Effective radio communication is key, right? A good size up. Not only a good size up, but once you're inside, hey, right? If something's going bad, then radio out. Right? He made that point pretty clear. Like, he wished he would have radioed out, like, hey, it's high heat in here. What are you guys seeing? Maybe that include him in that it was going bad a lot earlier. Effective communication between crew members is key. On the training ground, again, just reiterate it, that's when that stuff is to occur. Expectations are to be made, right? Training is to happen. What ifs, that's when what if scenarios can be played out. OIC, your words matter. Be specific as what you need and what you expect. Don't leave it to a fireman to make the decision. You make the decision. Hey, we're doing this, right? Give the assignment and then go. Accountability, know who you were with. If crews are split, if we're combined, know who you are with. Make sure our tactics meet what's going on with the building and the fire behavior that you're confronted with. Not every fire is cookie cutter, right? Just about every fire we do the exact same things, but every fire is a little bit different. They thought they knew what they were getting into, but they didn't, right? Don't pass up the fire. Just because we always go through that door, that front door, and that fire's blowing out right beside us, right? Use the reach of your stream, knock that fire down, knock some of the energy out of it, and then go in and mop it up. Again, that is better for us, that's better for the victims, and it's better for the building. I hope you guys heard that it's only 100 gallons, right? That was a pretty good fire. One room, 100 gallons of water, knocked that fire out. Operators, be confident in what you have in your apparatus, right? Again, to knock most of the energy out of that fire took 100 gallons. Most of our engines carry around 750. Engine 72 carries 1,000 gallons. That's 10% of the water they had that you guys have. Could have knocked that fire out. You don't have to wait till a supply line is established. If you're working on it, you can charge that line and operate it, right? Understand your capabilities, your equipment's capabilities. Again, watch the 2 videos. If you guys want to take that course, please do. It's really good. If you guys got any questions of me, please just call, text, or email me. Again, hope you guys have a great rest of your day.